What's going on, everybody? Uh, Thanks for tuning in again. I've been messing with my mic lately, and I think I need to get a new one. This one's not loud enough. But here's a few matches that I have from not from Phoenix or whatever his name is. I don't recall it off the top of my head. But I'm not going to commentate on these matches. I'm going to talk about a little bit of something else. So I apologize in that regard. But I had a guy ask me why I used the Fury Sword. I actually had a few people, and they actually were pretty insulting about it. They said I was a noob and stuff like that. Being that the Fury Sword was explained to me that it's something that you don't use for top level PvP. So I feel like I need to talk about this. The Fury Sword. Why do I use it? Well, it's a good reaching weapon as far as curved weapons go, and as far as swords go. It's in its moveset and in its uh, style of play, you have a pretty fast weapon that's good, uh, has a good long swing and a cool moveset. And I say cool, I mean an effective one. It's got decent damage, but the damage is split between fire and normal or physical, so that would probably be something that would be a downfall of the weapon, being its split damage. It has low backstab damage. I ain't worried about parrying because I don't ever use a shield. My style of play wants to be more offensive than it does defensive, and so when we're talking about the reach of this weapon, um, if you've ever played with a spear, then you know that if you use the tip of the spear to hit, and you can time your footwork and time your movement and rolling, then it's pretty hard to be hit. Now, if you're getting parried while using a spear, then you probably won't be successful with the Fury Sword or with any shorter weapon than that. Uh, just for saying. As far as the Fury Sword goes, it's different than the Gold Tracer and the Scimitars, being that it has a little bit extra range. So that little bit extra range, I'm looking to hit with the tip of the weapon, and it's very effective. So when they come up and parry, you're actually hitting them with partial parry damage, which is usually around 2 something. So get good at doing that, and that can be an effective weapon itself. It has good stun locking capabilities. 2 hits would do 60 poise damage, so if a lot of people's walking around with 50 something, they can be poise braked. It complements the Gold Tracer, and I'll talk more about the Gold Tracer in a minute. But it does complement it, and that's what I'm currently using right now, is the Gold Tracer in my other slot for the right hand. The weapon, Fury Sword, looks cool. I mean, you don't see a lot of people use it. Like I said, those guys call me noobs. You see a lot of people use katanas and spears and halberds and stuff like that, but kind of got my own thing going with the Fury Sword, and anytime somebody uses it, I'm always like, give me back my Fury Sword. So that right there pretty much sums it up. It's anti-backstab in a way that when you swing with it, it has a circular motion. So if anybody comes in with a backstab, it's going to be a good chance that it could be canceled out just because of the half moon like swings it does, and a lot of times it saved me from backstabs. So now the Gold Tracer is also a weapon that I switch to from time to time. It's a more aggressive form, but the reason I don't use it as much is because you get parried more using that. Now it's very effective against newer players or players that are not great at PvP, because if you go up and spamming on them, you'll kill them just because they're not good at parrying, they're not good at rolling around, or rolling away, I should say, parrying, rolling away, and understanding poise, or toggle escaping for that matter. So if they're not good at any of those, and 3 of those are basics, understanding poise, rolling away, parrying, then they're not going to be successful against that weapon. But the reason I use it is not just to kill ganking noobs, but is the reason that it's dependent on if I see an opponent coming in and charging me and stuff, and they're not doing a lot of parries, then I'll bring out the Gold Tracer to back them off a little bit, build up a little bleed. It's just something to use besides the Fury Sword that complements each other quite well, even though they're both curved weapons. The poise versus toggle escaping topic. A friend of mine asked me in my last video why I had the wolf ring on with this setup. Well, a lot of people say that you don't need more than 30 something poise if you toggle escape. Well, that is depending on your style of play. You do. My style of play is I like exchanges. You know, if you come up with a two-handed claymore, and you're wielding it two-handed, and I'm using the Fury Sword, I like to, you know, hit you 2 times to your 1 time of that claymore. If you hit me with a claymore and I don't have 53 poise and I've only got 30, you're going to stun me. So I can toggle escape to get out of that, yes. But when I want to exchange, I want these exchanges to end at my will. I want to hit you twice, roll away. The exchange was ended at my will. If you are coming up to me and I've only got 30 poise, I'm going to either have to hit you and roll away, because you're going to stun me if you hit me with being with so low poise. You know, if you actually can do 30 something poison damage, or I'm going to actually hit you and not get hit, which that is a completely different playstyle than what I'm looking for. I'm looking to hit you, and it's okay if you hit me. I like to get in there and slug it out a little bit. Now, I'm not going to per se go up and just spam everybody to death, and that isn't really applicable if you're fighting top level PvP, because nobody's going to let you do that anyways. So that's kind of the reason I got the wolf ring on. Just pretty much I want to win the exchanges, or not win the exchanges actually, but to end the exchange at my will. If we swap hits and stuff, and you're seeing that you're taking a lot of damage, then you roll away. I ended the exchange on a positive note. I made you get out of there because you felt dangered about your HP. So that's the reason that I actually use the wolf ring a lot. Now, when we talk about pyromancy and how I apply pyromancy to my build, I use 4 different pyromancies as my main, and these are the ones that, in my opinion, the only ones that matter. Got Great Fireball, Great Chaos Fireball, Fire Tempest, and Great Combustion. And a lot of times if I'm doing a fight club, I really can't rely on pyromancy. I have to rely on my Fury Sword to do a lot of damage, because if you're my intention is to win match after match, and after a while you don't have any more pyromancy. So you have to get good with using your weapon, get good at being able to not get parried, not get roll BS, and you have to get good at just dealing a lot of damage with your primary means of attack, which in this case is actually your Fury Sword. So, before I talk about pyromancy, if I'm fighting without it, I'm using the Fury Sword, the Gold Tracer. Swapping to the Gold Tracer every now and then, building up bleed damage, hitting pretty good damage, swapping back to the Fury Sword, trying to measure the distance, and this all depends on what they have on too. If they've got something like a ultra great weapon on, I may, pick my shots a little more strategically as far as that regard goes, but pretty much I feel pretty confident with just using the Fury Sword, and not even just throwing the Tracer out of the whole concept. I don't use it a lot like I do the Fury Sword. And this goes with any weapon you're good at. I mean, you should, if you use a weapon and you like it and you use it over an amount of time, you're going to get good with it. I've went through a ton of weapon changes. I first started off with the Claymore. I used the Claymore, loved the Claymore, and then I went to the Spear, just because it seemed like nobody used spears at the time. This has been a long time ago. I used the spear for a long time. A spear is very effective. It may be one of the most effective weapons, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions. And then I actually swapped to the katanas, the Chaos Blade, and the Chaos Blade's pretty good. This didn't, katanas just didn't do it for me like they do it for a lot of people. So I went ahead and changed to, I think, let's see, I messed with a halberd for a little bit, don't like it. I could never get the great scythe to work for me like I wanted to, so I ended up with a fury sword. Actually, I think I went back to the claymore for a while, and the spear. So yeah, now, when we're talking about the pyromancy, we was talking about before, great fireball's application, in the sense of my style, is I'm using it to feel my opponent out. To get an idea of how he moves. Will he roll left if I throw the fireball? Will he, or what necessarily will he do when I throw this particular pyromancy at him? He could roll to the left or the right, or he could roll towards you. And if he starts to roll towards you, he's trying to bridge the gap. He may be trying to backstep. So that's when I know that I can actually throw the fireball at the ground. Now the chaos fireball is something that is a more offensive pyromancy. After I've kind of filled him out with a great fireball, I may actually start throwing this one in anticipation of actually hitting him. It provides a good safe zone for using Fire Tempest, and it provides a good safe zone for actually just taking a few minutes, or not a few minutes, but a few seconds to gather your play thoughts, which means that there's 4 or 5 seconds maybe that I can see what he's doing and see where he's actually intending to attack next. So also, when we're talking about the Great Chaos Fireball, I usually go Great Fireball, Great Chaos Fireball, then Fire Tempest. These spells allow you to cast a very sneaky Fire Tempest, which we're going to talk about next. The smoke from the Fireball spells can cloud up the screen, especially with the Great Chaos, and you run up after you throw the Great Chaos and use the lava to protect you, and they've got a Fire Tempest right in their face after the smoke. So better turn your volume up, because that's about the only way you'll see it coming. Especially if you actually use the factor of Fire Tempest is great when you corner people, and use the Great Chaos Fireball to cloud it. Very effective weapon. Fire Tempest is your big gun. Very sneaky if you make it sneaky, that is. Very avoidable if you make it avoidable. So, the last pyromancy is the Great Combustion. Great Combustion, or Black Flame. Great Combustion is more powerful, does less poise damage and endurance damage, I believe. But it's your anti-parry, it's your anti-shield, it's a good stop hit. It's anti-parry because it don't matter if you're fighting parry spammers, or it don't matter if you're fighting somebody who's good at parrying. They can't parry Great Combustion. So if you see a rhythm of them parrying your attacks, go ahead and hit the LB or the L1 and see how effective that is for you against somebody who parries. Same thing about shields. I've had people in the past tell me in my videos, oh, you're spamming the Great Combustion. But look what he was doing. He was turtling with a shield. I had to go ahead and use a few Great Combustions to get a few chip damage in, get a little bit of chip damage in, and make it to where he didn't want to hold his shield up as much. And there you see I hit that guy with a long 3-point Great Fireball. That was a long shot there. But anyways, also the Great Combustion is a good stop hit. You see my opponent right here used the stab of that weapon way too close, and that should be done at a more lengthy range. But yeah, the stop hit of a Great Combustion. Let's see if there's a spot here where I actually do one. Can't remember. But yeah, if they're coming in strong against you, being aggressive, hit them with a few Great Combustions. It'll make them more timid to come in that hard. Here I try to catch him with a Fire Tempest, but pretty much that sums up my playstyle with the Pyromancy and the Fury Sword. And actually that's my current playstyle. It always is adapting. And there's the Great Combustion stop hit. Get him with a good combo with the Fury Sword. You still toggle it out of that and hit him with Fireball. But that's all this video, guys. Appreciate you watching, and shout out to this dude. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Dark Souls PvP.